which is pretty exciting.
Yes, yeah. So I am using his
Nah,
Zoom.
beautiful background though. Raj, it is a beautiful, beautiful background.
Oh, that's just a
Screen
screensaver,
thing,
I
right?
think. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not finding the thing to let me share screen. I wonder why.
Uh, you are not
Maybe if
able to
I
see
do
this.
launch meeting, I'll get more things. Yeah.
Meet meeting is sorry, the meeting is already online, right? I have started it, so like people are entering. But I think it should be. Let me check again.
Yeah. If I'm a co-host, I'd be able to pull stuff up, right?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
There
thank you
is.
so much.
How are you?
I'm so fine. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. We're just having a
So,
little checkup on whether Leslie can share her screen, and
Which would
yeah.
be
okay.
awfully nice. Yeah, so I'm still looking. Oh, there's a more here. Maybe that would let me do things. Host tools. Yeah, they're always changing things. Chat, react, share. Haha. Share
Okay.
screen options. All right, here we go. Who can share? Host only. All participants. Do I get to hit all participants? I guess I'll try it because I'm not a host, I don't think.
I,
Okay,
I,
and then
From,
okay.
let's see if I can share
from
it.
the Zoom standpoint, I guess that Mr. Rituraj Kukan should be able to share the screen and can allow it, I guess.
Right,
Am I
but he
Yeah,
right?
doesn't.
I have already made Leslie a co-host, so she should be able
Okay,
to
then no
share.
issue.
Can you just please check and if you can share, otherwise we can do something else.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it wants to start at the beginning of my slideshow, which is certainly an interesting thing. But at any rate, yeah, it looks like I can share all right
Okay.
in some manner or other. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, we can
Oh,
see it now. Yes,
yeah.
perfect.
And maybe
Perfect,
it will let me
perfect.
start at the beginning of my presentation. Let's just see if that works. You can probably see that.
We can see, yeah, we can see the slide number 12.
Oh, only slide 12. I've got saving ISIS key queued up here, which is where I want to start. Huh. Well, this could be more exciting than we hope. Let's see. Yeah, all I'm seeing on there as a share is the ICE slide. Well, we'll see. Are you seeing a different slide now?
No, I'm seeing slide 12.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's this stop share, there's this share, how can I tell which window I'm in, I guess is really the problem here. Maybe I'll stop share and try it again, hitting that
Okay.
thing first. Okay, and now if I can get back to that thing first, okay. So this is the window I'd want to share. This is why it's over. I've actually been on the Zoom for a little while trying to get the, yeah, Zoom will bring you to your knees. Can you see it now? Saving ISIS key for
I
climate and
don't
water?
see anything.
Shoot,
No,
okay. Well, let's,
you're not sharing now. I think it's not shared now.
You're not sharing, only
I
your
was, but I wasn't sharing the
mm,
right thing yet.
earlier you were sharing.
Yeah, you can't, oh, here's a thing that says share. That's a new place for it to be. Okay, share options. No, gosh. Oh, this is so frustrating.
Is there share? You can press Alt plus S to
Yeah,
share.
I have done that. but I've got, actually host only is also clicked, so that's kind of exciting. Okay, I've got all participants again. There was a box that has since disappeared that had me able to share my screen.
Oh, let me check. Did the system make you change you from a co-host? No, you are still a co-host, so it's fine.
Okay, yeah, if only I could find shared support. I don't think that's what they mean. Login. Does it need me to log in, do you think?
It's a green button, green up arrow. It says
Yeah,
share. In my screen
there
is
is an
that.
icon.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it was hiding down there. Okay. So are you seeing something that says saving
Yes,
And
ICT?
now I see.
yes, we are seeing. Yes, we can see.
Yes. Okay. And it's not even 8 o'clock yet.
Yes.
Whee! Okay. And
So-
Rituraj, you can take those questions that I sent you, any
Yeah,
of them you
yeah.
think are right in any order you want. I'm fine with that.
Sure, I do have them with me. And meanwhile, Mr. Karnakar Reddy has also joined. Do you have any slides to share, Mr. Reddy?
I think I have your presentation, Raj.
Sorry?
You have my presentation.
I don't have your presentation.
You want me to share now?
You have,
You share.
no. You
Screen
don't have to
sharing.
share now, but you can, or you cannot share from your side?
I can do that. I can do also.
Okay. Okay, that will be great. So I will make you the co-host. I think uh, until we start, Leslie, if you could unshare and then we can, start on
Oh, you want me
time
to
as well.
unshare? This
Yeah, for
sounds
now,
dangerous.
for now. Yeah, thank you.
Are you sure? I hope I'll find the button again. Okay, here goes. And somebody should be recording. I know Shamitra put a notice there.
I will do that. I will do that. And yeah.
Super. Okay.
So
I have
so it's
Now is
8:30 now. I'm going to start recording and
I should start the opening my notes, okay? Once you say, well, you give me a thumbs up.
Recording
then
in
I'll start.
progress.
Hello, everybody. I am D. Ghoshal, General Secretary of Healthy Climate Initiative in its India operations. It is an absolute honor to welcome you all to this special webinar on water crisis, our work, and solutions to preserve water sources in South Asia. Today, on World Water Day, we come together to address one of the most pressing challenges of our time, water scarcity and contamination. That means those issues that affect millions across South Asia and beyond. Water is not just a resource, it is the foundation of life, livelihoods, and ecosystem. As we face increasing threats from climate change, pollution, and unsustainable uses, the urgency to act has never been greater. We are privileged to have with us today two distinguished speakers, Mr. Karunakar Reddy and Dr. Leslie Field, along with our expert moderator, Mr. Rituraj Phukan, who will guide us through insightful discussions on the challenges we face and the solution that can lead us towards a sustainable future. This webinar is not just about discussions, it's about actions. We are excited to share that in partnership with Igniting Minds, a tree will be planted for every attendee today after the session Each of you will receive a personalized tree plantation certificate with geotagged details symbolizing your contribution to protecting our planet's water resources. With that, let's begin. Please allow me to introduce our esteemed speakers and set the stage for today's discussion. Dr. Leslie Field is a visionary engineer and climate solutions pioneer with a PhD in engineering from MIT and UC Berkeley. With over 60 patents and 129 publications, she has spearheaded impactful initiatives, including founding the nonprofit Bright Eyes Initiative to combat climate change and leading ICE 911 research. For a seasoned educator, she has taught Stanford University's Engineering and Climate Change seminar for over a decade, inspiring students globally. That's about Dr. Leslie Field. And I've got the privilege also to introduce Mr. Karunakar Reddy Mardi, who is a pioneering environmental leader and social entrepreneur. As the founder of Smart India, he has revolutionized water treatment, providing safe drinking water to over 2.5 million people across 33 countries. That's a phenomenal achievement. His crisis management expertise has proven vital during natural disasters like the Jammu and Kashmir and Kerala floods, where he provided critical drinking water solutions. And he is considered to be the water man of India. So that's a great introduction with the great people who are with us today. And over to our esteemed moderator, Mr. Rituraj Phukan, who will take you all to this session.
Thank you, Mr. Ghoshal. Once again, welcome to this World Water Day webinar. Today is a very, very important day, not just because it's World Water Day, but also because yesterday was the first ever World Glaciers Day, and two closely related topics with the start of the international decade on accelerating action on glaciers, also starting in 2025, and the first ever Glaciers Day is observed yesterday. Both these related events, of course, point to the crisis of water that we have on our hands. Before I request our first presenter, Dr. Leslie Field, to share her screen, I'd also like her to maybe share with us with our listeners about the new UNESCO report that came out yesterday with 1.2 billion people directly under threat because of melting glaciers and over 2 billion likely to face the consequences. And the figures are really shocking with the amount of glacier loss that have been reported in this new study. I also welcome all the participants from different countries. My friends are here as well, Inger Mette, Dr. Siva Prasad, and all the others who may not be visible on my screen. So the field is all yours, Dr. Leslie.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I am so honored to be here and part of this really expert group. Here goes. Let's hope that Zoom agrees with me. Okay. So
Perfect.
Great. There's a lot of information here, so I'll be speaking rather rapidly. I hope that's okay. Saving ice is really key for climate and water. And as ice melts, climate change accelerates. This is it's a positive feedback loop. The more ice melts, the faster heating up occurs, because we've lost our reflectivity as ice melts. And that is something that had kept our temperatures stable, more stable than they are now for a long time. So we have an international team, which is really lovely. Dr. Shamitra Das found, some really expert people to work with us from India. So we have had a international India-US collaboration, a team of teams. If you count all the organizations, there's 5 organizations participating. And I have founded, as was said, Bright Ice Initiative, specifically to take on the challenge of glacial ice melt. And very, very honored to be here. How did we get here? I mean, I think everybody here would know that CO2 levels have risen quickly since industrial times, and that we've been burning fossil fuels, and that puts a lot of CO2 in the atmosphere. And that changes the set point, really, of what temperature we'd expect on Earth. So we've engineered our climate accidentally by, all the fossil fuel use we've had. This has led to unprecedented melting of glaciers. So I don't think we have time for me to show this whole impactful video, but if you have a chance to check it out sometime, this is an excerpt from Chasing Ice by James Balog, where he did the simple thing of putting cameras all around glacial areas that were melting and just documented this. And it's surprising out to keep cameras running, but he did it. And what you would see is the end piece of this glacier watching day here would be that a chunk the size of lower Manhattan, but much taller, broke off within a very short period of time in Greenland. And so it's real. The melt is real. And it's this positive feedback loops that have, gosh, I'm blocking myself with our photos here, but good, I can move it. Have accelerated, the melt, the temperature rise by a factor of about 1.5, and that was in older times. Since things are accelerating here, it's probably much faster now. And so I at first looked at, this is ocean ice you're looking at here. I hope you can see my pointer. And it's a positive feedback loop again, which means that things, when you look at this whole video, again, a beautiful video NASA put together, you can see that your bright ice has been disappearing, turning into darker ice, turning into first year ice or no ice, which becomes very dark indeed. And so you don't have that reflectivity that we used to have. And yeah, the more it goes, the more it goes. One thing that we've learned over time is how very, very important it is to take into account people who are living in the areas where you want to do a small scale field test. And I've been insisting since the very beginning, we needed a framework, guidelines of how do you test solutions while you're sure that you're keeping things safe for people and that, acceptable. And we've gotten there. And, you need co-leadership, transparency, a lot of things. And I got to help American Geophysical Union. I got to be part of their expert panel on this because I'd had some experience, good and bad, with this as I was learning up in northern Alaska. And it's really, there's now a framework there. And it's very consistent with the rules that the Indian Ministry for the Environment had as well. So that when we worked this last year, it was really a delight to know that we were adhering to everybody's, guidelines of how do you do this safely. And really, job one is you test small to start with, and you make sure that you're testing, was there a negative environmental impact of any sort? There are other things being proposed that are very broad, and people who believe in the very broad things, really get worried about localized things. But I think the localized things are really an advantage because you can tailor to the area and to the needs of the community, real time, with people who care about what's happening there, with people who are already impacted by loss of water or by floods. And so it's, I think that's a feature, not a flaw, to go small to start and then see whether there's support to go higher. We've had some preliminary results in the Himalayas from a test last year, and this is what the site looks like. You can see that there wasn't any ice left at all at that point on much of the rock faces, but our materials were really bright. And the tests are even better than we expected so far, but we don't have any recent data, which is why I'm saying so far, because it's now covered in snow again. So this is going to be a long-term test, and it was in collaboration with, expert glaciologists, expert impact assessment specialists. So I was really happy about that. And of course, we're doing this for those millions to billions of people who are affected by loss of water or by too much water. And so it's this is, our agriculture is at stake here. Let's see, I think it's giving me this hard time of not being able to show much else, but I might be at time. Is that, Raj? I think I was hearing you. Are we at time, or shall I go on and talk a little bit more?
Yeah, you can take maybe another 2 or 3 minutes, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, because I had another set of slides which are not wanting to show up. We'll see whether this works or not. Nope. Yes, no. Come on. Nope. Yeah, my PowerPoint is not very happy with me today. What I would like to explain then is that we started out in the tiniest of ways as you're trying a completely new idea. And I think I may have been the first person who looked at the accelerating feedback loop there and said, well, heavens, what can we do safely? And what I've come up with is the surface albedo modification is what we call it. And that means that on the surface, you put something very bright. You see it here in this photo, which is really a lovely result. So we started that, and I started thinking about sea ice. But sea ice, it turns out, it's very hard to get permissions on. That, coupled with the fact that glacial ice is actually a more dire risk to sea level rise, is why I started Bright Ice Initiative. So the second nonprofit I've started. And as you do these small, careful tests, we started out with ponds. They were a proxy for sea ice, and in homeowners' backyards who were completely cognizant of what we were doing and very helpful. And still very helpful over many years later. And then we progressed to working in Iceland with an expert glaciologist there. And then this year to the Himalayas. So step by step, you start testing things out. We needed to change our materials a little bit to be able to stay in place on a very steep slope. And that's part of what we're looking for after the snow melts this year. How well did that happen? Are there further steps we need to take? So it's always about research. It's always about minimizing risks. It's always about trying to do what's best for the community. And so I think that might be a good place to end, except that I'm in a program right now. It's a 3-month program. It's intense, called Climate Base. And I'm getting much more climate education right now and hearing excellent talks. And one of them, John Foley, the current executive director of Project Drawdown, which is, ranking all kinds of climate solutions, tells us that there's so many good solutions there, some of which are ready to go to scale or already at scale, like solar has, become really amazingly implemented. It's terrific. And he tells us that it's not game over. There's so much dire climate news, and probably because the media gets more clicks from that, but as one of the factors. But there's so much good news going on. It's not game over at all. It's game on. And I think that's a lovely thing to think about. And it helps you have the courage to keep going. So thank you so much for your time. And any questions, happy to answer.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Leslie. We do have some questions coming up later. Uh, yeah, I'm really happy to see this slide of the surface albedo, something that we uh, showcased during COP26. We had a stall in the green zone, and Soumitra and me were able to talk about it, and documentary in Persian was made. On our which included our presentation as well. So yeah, thank you for your presentation. Can we request Mr. Karnakar Reddy, the next speaker, to share his slides and share his thought on his work around India, which, by the way, is one of the most vulnerable in terms of climate impacts, glacier loss, and consequently water. Mr. Reddy, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Raj. I'm trying to share my slide. Sorry, 1 minute, Raj.
Green button below, share.
Is it okay? My screen is able to see you?
No, we cannot see any slide.
Not
Green
yet,
button
yeah.
share, yeah, I'm doing that.
Green button.
Yeah, screens, documents, advance. Which one I need to do?
Documents, you're sharing.
So you have your presentation open on a laptop, then you would be able to share it, I
Yeah.
guess.
Screen
Yeah,
sharing.
it is. I'll be sharing in a minute.
Sometimes it takes a while, so you'll find a button, I'm sure.
It's in the middle of the screen on the bottom for me, and it's a big green rectangle, well, square.
Yes,
Middle, yeah,
that's
it is.
universal.
I'm doing that. Yeah.
Once you
Allow Zoom
share,
Workplace to share your screen. Open system
you can
settings.
share the entire screen, but you have to bring your screen in your screen. Whatever
Raj,
you
you
can
have the
see, that
presentation.
can.
Would you like to do that? Yeah.
I don't have it on my laptop. It's on an external hard drive now, so that's the issue.
Okay.
And
Did
then
you
I'm
make
a
a co-host, Risharaj?
uh
So he
oh,
has permission?
that's the interesting thing. Yeah. Okay. Oh, can you sorry about it. I think you should try now. Yeah, that maybe that was the issue. Wow.
Which one, Raj?
Yeah, now you can try the same
You
thing
have been
again.
made co-host, so you are
Yeah.
given permission to share actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
Right.
it okay now?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
perfect.
coming. Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning to all. Thank you so much. Very happy Water Day. It is a great honor and privilege today connecting again Raj and me. We all know that we Igniting Mind started this journey on the same day of 22nd March 2012, 13 years back, with a simple concept to save water and restore ecological balance. So with the simple idea to educate, engage, empower the youth of this nation, because India have a highest young population, we want to create an awareness because India is a country where we are misusing or abusing our natural resources by not having an awareness. So what we want to do that we just first initially ignite the spark of awareness, then how we can really conserve, preserve, and recycle, reuse the natural resources, which is important Or so what we are showing the awareness, this thing that how much water is available around the globe. That is number one, as in general. And if you see that compared to the population, so India is having a 18% of global population, but only we have a 4% water resources. So even having this kind of discrepancy, how we can really able to overcome this particular problem by creating an awareness. And another thing is, a lot of people doesn't know which sector is consuming how much water, which sector is having how much water. For example, agriculture, even India, it is having some kind of controversy that, okay, different research institute showing different from 75 to 90% required the agriculture. So, which we, even though if it is even in the 65%, sorry, 75% or even a 90% water, but it is a too much. So comparatively, the developing world, whatever we are producing, we are consuming 3 times more water and less the agriculture crop. So if we continue to do this kind of utility of the misusing or abusing this water resource, India is going to have a food crisis immediately. And other than that, okay, we are recklessly and irresponsibility using like pesticides and fertilizers and all this thing, which is also adding a lot more less carbon on the soil, because soil fertility and soil organic moisture is completely losing. This is the issue which we want to address to the young minds.
Mr. Reddy, I don't.
Your audio is muted somehow.
Can you hear me, Mr. Reddy? We can see your screen, but we cannot hear you, and your slides are not moving.
Yeah,
I
he's
can't
not.
hear either. No.
Yeah, I think he's freezed up. Perhaps if those of us who aren't speaking, like me, turn off our video, that might help a little bit.
I've already turned off my video.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to do the same.
That will improve quality. Somehow he got muted, or
No, he was
advertently
disconnected.
might have
Sorry,
disconnected.
I don't know.
Yeah, now we can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah.
Good.
So with this simple concept, we want to take this into create an awareness to the young minds. And over the years, approximately 13 years, this is the 14th years we're entering today. So saying that how much water availability, and this is what we're saying, that a whole water, whatever available. So it is 97% is a saline water and a salt water, and only 3% is a fresh water. Out of the 3%, only 0.007% is accessible, useful for the human survival and this thing. This is what we are showing all of the place, the young minds. Yeah.
Are you there?
So even though we know that, okay, even though when we were entered in this area in the time of Millennium Development Goals, then we entered into the Sustainable Development Goals. And we know that, okay, mismanaged water, mismanaging is happening around the world. Okay, even in India, we can see agriculture is more than 54% of the groundwater, which we are depending on agriculture water. And this is where we are over pumping our aquifers, but we are not restoring the aquifers. And this is the work which we are doing, that, okay, use water wisely, judiciously, and consciously to conserve or reserve and recycle the water. This is the world is facing an immense water crisis with the demand expected outstrip of supply fresh water by 40% by end of the decade. But this is not up to that level. It not even required at the end of the decade. It is already happening at present this time. So I have some kind of questions to different kind of audience, saying that what exactly the things which we are implementing around the years. And I always happen to have and ask questions to the eminent people who are already having some social engineering kind of area. This is what one of the story which I am going to share. It is almost before 1 year, in the year 2011, when we want to start some kind of campaign around save water, restore ecological balance. This is the question I asked some of the eminent panelists.
We are not able to hear the audio from the video for some reason.
Sorry, Raj?
We could not hear the audio from the video, so maybe we can skip that,
Okay,
and
I'll skip it.
come to
Okay.
you. I'll come to you with the questions about disaster management during the Q&A. So please, perhaps you could continue with the slides.
See, if
Thank
how
you.
does climate change affect the water availability? We know water, if it is ice melting, is sea level rise, if it is a temperature increase, reduce water supplies, it increase the demand. So droughts, runoff, all this one area, and under you can see that industry, domestic usage, agriculture, energy, this area we are going to increase the demand. So as temperature rise, we know that, okay, due to this particular activity, the temperature is rising. We all know that due to global warming, due to climate change, and a lot of extreme weather conditions, either it may be droughts or floods. And this is what happening. People require more water. Agriculture required more water. If climate rise is increased and energy is required more, to demand, energy demand will be more because of using of our alternative cooling activities. Industry required more energy and animals require more water. So water is completely directly impacting on a climate change. So if you see this slides, you can see extreme weathers in India. You can see what exactly the problem. Severe groundwater crisis, approximately 16.6 million acre land have been lost, salinized, or you can say desertification is increasing year by year by just because of not having a proper water. Even in North Gujarat, water tables are falling 20 feet per year. It is approximately around 5 meters. Tamil Nadu, 90%, 95% wells are dried up in the country, and this is the situation in the Gujarat and Maharashtra, some of the rivers. As today also I had a discussion and we had a seminar on a World Water Day in Jawaharlal Nehru, one of the flagship institute in the country. 54% of India faces high and extremely water stress. We all know it is almost 700 million people are facing this kind of problem. Day zero in a lot of cities like Delhi have last year 0 day water, even Bangalore. India's almost 52% GDP, which comes from almost 8 metropolitan cities, are not a single city have an adequate water quality and adequate this thing. And this is the headlines we always see in this, the water crisis. But here what we saying that there is a lot of immense opportunities inside for the young minds for innovation kind of activity, which we need to be focused more. If even humans are not facing so much water problem, then think about that the other biodiversity like animals and all this thing, they also require water. That's why every time human-animal conflict is happening in the country, and we are seeing every time in the news headlines, this is what are the problems which we are facing. And this is what I'm talking about, Composite Water Management Index 2018, saying that 600 plus Millions are facing high extreme water stress. And the Falcon indicator of, we know that, okay, if it is below 1,700 meter cube, the country is state with experience water stress. Below 1,000 meter cube is an extreme and scarcity. If below 500 meter cube experience absolute water scarcity, this is the problem which we are increasing year by year. This here we are saying that okay, up to 820 million people in India living in 12 river basins across the country have per capita water availability closer lower than 1,000 meter cube, which means extreme weather and extreme water crisis, which is going to be happen. This the Himalayan Hindu Kush Himalayan assessment is also another area where the third pole, which we are talking about, it is rapidly increasing what ice melt is happening very faster way. Most of the Indian rivers, perennial rivers, are going to have us completely in a brink situation. Even in Delhi, like Yamuna kind of river is also having that kind of situation due to a lot of sewage dumping, and these things are happening. Can predict the third extension of layer by 20,000 is going 22,100. It is going to be 1.3 degrees Celsius. 40% of the glaciers in the Tibetan plateau could disappear by 2015. But this is only study, but it will be, hopefully it will be not up to 2050. By 2040, this is the problem which we can see. So India having a Jal Jeevan mission, Government of India, Ministry of Jal Shakti, catch the rain where it falls, but this is not really implementing a lot of way. And it is a time we need to be focused more and more to provide safe and sustainable clean drinking water to the bottom of the pyramid. This is where we do even disasters and other things are happening. This is also another video where India is having the disasters like floods and extreme weather condition, cloud burst, floods, all is happening. Urban floods is also new normal in this country. So this is also another video which we shown that UN 2023 water conference is also saying that India is really facing extreme weather conditions. If water is not enough, that water for health, water for sustainable development, water for climate resilience and environment, water for cooperation, water action decade, we need to be focused on by 2030. This is the agenda which we need to be look. And that's why what we are doing, we are going to all the campuses, especially universities in India, approximately 1,200 universities, going to the universities, encouraging the young minds with the giving some kind of internship opportunities and creating some kind of basic awareness on water conservation, kind of this thing. This is over to you, Raj. So be part of the solution, which we are working on this.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Reddy, for pointing out the extent of the Indian water crisis, the government initiatives which are in place, as well as some of the community-based works that you, as part of Igniting Minds, as a founder of Walk for Water as well, have started. We will come back to you with questions later to learn more about your community-based work, because that is the most critical part of the water crisis. And also as a solutions provider who has been deeply involved with the water crisis in India for at least the last decade or even more. But let me start the question and answers with Dr. Leslie. You have already told us about the ice melt, the glacial loss across the world. But I would like to, ask you once again in a very direct way, why is ice melt important to the world's water system? And secondly, is there any way to slow or stop ice melt that is, safe for people and ecosystems? Uh, would you please take up these questions, Dr.
Great,
Leslie?
sure. Yes, this has been my work of the last almost 2 decades. Water water supplies are affected when ice melts in glaciers, for instance. You in your region of the world, as I understand it, depend on a predictable ice melt, seasonal ice melt, seasonal flows for agriculture. And I've heard a fair amount about Sonam Wangchuk's work in Nepal. I really admire that, where he found a way to archive the water a bit into ice again. Very, very beautiful work he's done. Brilliant guy, clearly. And that allowed them to start growing willow trees, which is a very water intensive crop. So that's a beautiful demonstration that things can be done. Without that, I've heard that things get terribly dire in these areas where the water flows are not predictable anymore, where enough melt has happened, you just don't have any water supplies. And you've been articulating this, Mr. Reddy. And it's Dr. Reddy, I'm sure. And it's just tragic because then farmers can't have their livelihood. You can't feed the world. My understanding is that if the Himalayan ice keeps melting at the rate it's been, it may affect about a third of the world's agriculture. That's how much the water towers of the Himalayas, I think they're called, that frozen inventory we've had. If that goes, you just, if you can't feed a third of the world who's expected to be using that water for their agriculture, it just seems to me like we'll be in endless wars over, an inability to feed the populations, and that's terrible. So that's one part. The other part is that as glacial ice melts, it is worse than sea ice melting as far as sea level rise goes. And so the world also is constructed around, everybody, or a lot of important and large cities are located near water because that was a good way to do shipping over time. And if you start having sea level rising, you are perhaps imperiling the city itself or having to build higher and higher walls, which you hope will hold up. But you also lose your ability to do agriculture. If you've got seawater coming in on your lands where you were practicing farming, that's a good way. So in a lot of, so that's it. Anyway, it's all a feedback loop that's just getting more and more concerning, dire, and we really need to do something about it. One thing I'm brainstorming on these days is how to get rid of the pollution, because there's also more and more chemicals, as a couple of you have mentioned, more and more chemicals getting into the water supplies, and more just straight out, garbage getting into the water supplies, and it's not safe for people to drink or to practice agriculture with. In the US, this is happening as well. These forever chemicals are getting into our agricultural lands. It's, it's not in our best interests. So that's something I'm certainly wanting to look into more. Was that enough of an answer?
Yeah, we'll come back to you with more questions. And going with your thoughts on pollution, water pollution, I will come to Mr. Reddy because he has been working on water pollution across some of the worst water scarce districts in India. And I would request him to throw light on the unique community water systems that he had set up across South and Central India, which enables people to, get the best water from whatever is available in their surroundings. He takes this the available water through multi-stage filtration. But I request Mr. Reddy to throw more light on his projects.
Yeah, thank you, Raj. As we know, India lives in villages, and almost nowadays around 65% of India lives in a rural and also semi-urban area where there is not adequate quality potable water availability by the through municipalities or through municipal supplies. That is one area. Another thing is, as I said, that in a rural area, people are depending on groundwater. If we go more than 50 feet a depth, then the ground is having a geogenically, naturally, the hard metals. It may be a fluoride, it may be arsenic, it may be iron, and it may be any kind of metal, heavy metals. And when we dig the tube well and we will mine water and will pump water, that water is not potable for human consumption. That is one area. And another thing is this whatever green revolution is started in India, people are starting using excessive pesticides and fertilizers. So this is also leads to another way of pollution and another way of water contamination. To address this, what we need a technology which is going to be simplify, easy, affordable from the bottom of the pyramid. So what we did, we started building a community-based water treatment plants, which people can easily come and without having any hassle kind of a lot of infrastructure, they just come with their vessel and they can just collect by paying user charges from it is around 2 rupees to 5 rupees per 20 liters in a 1 gallon of water. It is very affordable. Even it is a what do you call it? It is a very, very nominal cost which we collecting as an user charges. So this water is under laboratory test. You can say it is 100% potable as per IS 10500 standard. It is under quality of like bottled water quality, but it is not a packed kind of this thing. So like this, people are consuming because 80% diseases are waterborne diseases. If we are able to solve this particular one problem through a community initiative, community-based water treatment plants, we can address a lot more things. Because a poor farmer, a laborer or poorer, if he gets sick, his whole entire family is going to be get loss of their revenues. Every day they need to work in a day and they need to get the evening the funds, whatever they earn, they will buy groceries and all this. If any kind of problem will happen by this waterborne diseases, then they have to be forcefully go for a fasting purpose. So this is what one area. Another thing is, if this water is really able to solve their problem, there is a lot of school dropouts, children and all these things that the more infants are very exposed to, very close to the waterborne diseases. If we solve this problem, then there is a school dropouts is going to be reduced and work labors are good. It is going to be happen in a proper way. As per the Government of India survey, every day we lose approximately 1,200 to 1,300 people just because of waterborne diseases. And millions of hours every day we lose just because of this waterborne diseases doesn't have a safe and secure water. So because of this, we want to address this with a very affordable cost and a simplified technology. Yeah, Raj.
Okay, thank you. That's that's an amazing work that you were doing at the grassroots, impacting I believe directly and indirectly millions of people already, and these kind of solutions will become all the more relevant in the future as well. We'll come back to you with more questions regarding the disaster related to glacial loss because it's so relevant to this. But before that, I want to go to Dr. Leslie because in the Healthy Climate Initiative, we are also talking about climate interventions. And my question to you, especially in the context of the work that has been started in Chota Sigri Glacier, which is, of course, one of the most well-studied glaciers and where, the loss of glacial mass has been recorded. very. And my question is, how can you field test these potential solutions in, say, safe and effective and a reversible way? If something goes wrong, you can, turn back the clock and make sure that people, the communities around it are not affected. What is your take on that? Is there any framework globally to ensure that safety standards are followed as well?
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's a question that I love. When I started getting into the idea of doing some kind of intervention, I really wanted to know what were the guardrails, and there weren't a lot out there at that point. And I'm delighted that working with the AGU, the American Geophysical Union, I got to be part of a panel, an expert panel of people who were really concerned about this and learned a lot from everybody on the panel, and contributed what I had learned. And it really comes down to, and the rules that there's now a framework that AGU's leadership has approved, so we can see that. It all comes down to making your tests with safe enough materials, by every material safety data sheet, every metric you can think of, and do things in a small enough scale to start with. And so I was really delighted with the Chota Shigri work that we had an environmental impact assessment PhD with us, who was telling us how to do the testing before and after. We'd also gotten her advice for our work in Iceland before that, just to make sure that you're not doing some unintended ecological harm. And we've had things tested by various labs as well over time. And the materials that we're using for glacial ice, well, so far, I'm not sure all the test results are in yet, but it's looking really, really good. And one of the recommendations from the Indian Ministry of the Environment, which she was expert in knowing, what the rules were here, was to keep it small to start with. Until you've done your first environmental impact assessment, after doing some very small scale work, you really need to stay small scale, because if there is a problem, you do want to be able to, maybe scoop the stuff up. What we have, this is also why I chose to do something called surface albedo modification. Basically, we just sprinkle these bright materials on top of, a darkened area or even a bright area and see whether there's a difference later. And we measure the heck out of that. And one could, in a small enough area, scoop all this stuff back up if we needed to, if we found there was some bad effect. But we go into it with materials that are really, pretty widespread through nature already. And so that's a very good place to start from. So far, so good. And we'll just keep looking, because I have as a tenet, first do no harm, right? The medical doctor tenet, and I think that's really an important thing to go by.
Achha,
Thank you.
may I ask you a follow-up questions to this, what you have discussed? Actually, the bright material, I guess it is not the holograph microsphere, no? Some different item.
That's
or
right.
Whatever it is.
Yeah,
So,
the hologlass.
have you,
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
so have you done the correct modeling in the sense like, okay, albedo effect, you're ensuring by putting those things, but the natural radiation of the art, but that will be reflected while you are putting that thing, no? Normally, the stones or the surface below thing, that will also emit the radiation. Will that trap that thing also? And the net radiation from that thing, that modeling has been done. I mean, you got my
Actually, yeah,
point, no?
there's been some confusing paper by people who didn't do any actual field testing, claiming that maybe it could go in the wrong direction. But we've done the experiment for years on a Minnesota pond of doing the hollow glass microspheres, and it really does increase the length of time, slow the melting, increase the length of time that the ice persists by a good amount. It was about by 30%, and that was very consistent with how much more it was reflecting. So it's not making things hotter at all. And it actually, and we've got temperature measurements as well. I didn't, I had 10 minutes to give the talk, bury you guys in information, but it's really, it's held up very well. But we use something different now for the glaciers because hollow microspheres are something that you are going to roll downhill, and we've tested that as well. They're very light and they're round, and that's not an appropriate material for a glacier. So we've gone over to a clay-based material, and that as the initial results in the Himalayas, this was the really exciting thing for us so far, is that it looks like it's been even more effective than the hollow glass microspheres had been. And that's really encouraging. And clays, again, are one of these natural things. Hollow glass microspheres are fundamentally a silica glass, and silica's everywhere in the world, in dissolved or in sediments. And so it's one of the things that we all evolved with, not in a manufactured way, but it's not like putting mercury in something or anything. And so it's and then these clays are even more close to nature. They're processed a bit to make them hold together, but again, so far so good. And we're really keeping an eagle eye on this, because the last thing I want to do is make things worse, right? That's not what we're doing. Any other questions on that?
Well, thank you.
I
for
think
the
we
wonderful
also
perspective.
have the recording, I think, on our ACI website from I think during the lockdown we had another webinar, or maybe more than one webinar, where you did discuss the technology with the hollow glass microspheres. Anyway, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I live in the eastern Himalayan region, where glacial loss is projected to be 95% at current rates of warming, and if we are able to contain to 1.5, then still we lose 2/3 of the glaciers, leading to floods in the short term and water scarcity in a water abundant region in the long term. And that is not too far away. So coming back to Mr. Reddy, which is also related to what we are talking about. A few years ago, we saw floods in Srinagar, and Mr. Reddy and his team were airlifted by the government of India. Could you shed more light on what was the solution you were asked to provide? Because that is so interesting, and I think that is going to become increasingly relevant as we see more and more cities along the Himalayas being affected by glacial lake outbursts and all this cloudburst kind of flooding disasters.
Yeah, no, thank you. Good question. As we are encountering since last 2-3 decades due to climate change, global warming, I'm talking about India used to be have approximately minimum nearly around 40 to 45 rain days. Okay, and the rain density and also not should be maximum 5 to 10 centimeters of rainfall, maximum. 3 millimeters, not even centimeters, 10 millimeter, 20 millimeters kind of this thing. See, nowadays, what we are finding that due to this particular climate change and global warming, the extreme weather conditions are just like it is a pouring, like cloud bursting. One single day, you are able to receive around 50 to 100 mm rainfall. And if you get that kind of quantity of rain and water, we don't have an infrastructure to withhold that. So it is completely devastating and what you call it, creating a disaster that, okay, it is what we are facing, that we are losing all the properties and all the infrastructure which is going to be getting damaged. Especially there is when low-lying areas, people are the homes and everything is underwater. including even the water supplies or day-to-day water municipal supplies and all those things are not works. And you can see that everywhere, water everywhere, not a single drop to drink. So that situation, you need a water. We need alternate solution. That's why we have a mobile water technology where we can convert dirty water and flood water into potable water instantly. That's what we are doing since last 2 decades. Right, starting from West Bengal, every year used to have at least 3 to 4 months of floods under Ganga basin. Jharkhand, even in the year 2014, Srinagar was one single day, entire Dal Lake area of the Kashmir Valley is underwater, around 78 to 80 centimeters of rainfall. And even recently, the coastal area of Kerala, 2018, the same similar problem. One single day, approximately 80 to 90 centimeters of rainfall, and the entire infrastructure was under devastation. So that particular time, we have an instant machinery where we can airlift, and, which is contained power generated kind of technology which we have, like power generation and everything. And this mission, these missions is treat instantly and provide potable water in a pouch packing mission. That's what we are doing, and it is increasing year by year just because of this climate change and global warming.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, point is, it is already possibly decided that this scale of these natural disasters and the high rainfall and disaster will continue to increase. Because I was reading that within 23, may even touch 2 degrees, there's increase in the average global temperature. Moreover, these 2 wars, I was just studying the things that they are adding 4 times the total vehicle emission in the world. 375 million tons of carbon dioxide is added because of this war, Ukraine and this Gaza war. So human beings are already adding to these disasters. Now question is that this disaster will happen and all such thing will happen. Now we need something called the policy model, maybe possibly from the European and Scandinavian countries who are really doing good jobs out there. So what sort of mechanism that will be instrumental, say in terms of the policy model, that may approximate the ideals for the water management in this part of this country? Do you have some good policy model, say from the European country or somewhere, who are doing right thing under this situation? Because this level of problem, unless we only can do the disaster management, what other options do we have? That's really the question. Or another question is that can desalination plant is a viable solution in India? This is also another thing I want to know.
The first
Am I
most
audible?
important, the policy wise, yes, everybody around the world, everybody know the reality that, okay, global warming is bringing so many, carrying so many disaster kind of situations around the globe, and it is keeping the humanity in a very dangerous situation. And myself and Raj, we were there in COP29 in Azerbaijan. And even though in COP16 desertification COP in Riyadh, we both are seeing that, okay, all the global leaders, whatever are talking and whatever they are saying about, but it is not really materializing things in a proper way. Because only talks are going on, are happening, but everybody have their own individual interest in a country-wise.
Right.
Water is a global problem, but we have a local solutions to be found. Okay, this emergency situations and all this thing due to global warming, everybody knows this is going to be happen. But who is the first impact, which is the countries which is very near to equator, where eastern part of the world is not really impacting very soon, but we are the one which is having a highest risk. So what we required is we need indigenous solutions. First, how we can really take care of these things in a proper way. That is the purpose, the creating an awareness. For example, when in the year 2000, the starting time, the people used to drink contaminated water on a regular basis, and they used to get ill, and average and the what you call lifespan is increasing year by year because of first foremost important is the technology is available, and through technology we are able to diagnose things in a proper way. Our infrastructure increased and everything is happening, but the level of the requirement is something different. The level of technology availability is something. It is having always have a disparity. So it is only the thing we country have around 20% of the population of the world. We need to have our own solutions initially, then we can really give it to the world. That's what we are creating an awareness. Not only individuals, even policymakers, like all the politicians, we are meeting and making them water pledge, making them awareness, asking them to come and talk, understand what we are talking, our language and everything. This is what happening. Including you are also doing a wonderful thing since almost 2 decades in this particular area, working on this. Some kind of positivity is happening, but the rate which we are expecting is not happening. That is the only the point which we need to be focused more and more.
That's true. And
Right.
doing everything in a pilot scale really is not instrumental in bringing about the required changes. That's the worrying factor. Because this now even the carbon sink like ocean is also becoming acidified, and the creatures from the down the bottom is coming. The old fish is coming, which is ominous of the wrong thing will be happening. Amazon forest is going. That means those carbon sinks are vanishing. So this rate of change of this temperature is increasing. Rather, the climate change will happen much faster than we have anticipated. So I'm really apprehensive whether any technological fix will. Only we have to fix the people only. Unless the people are really
Mind
set
pollution.
right.
First we need to have a solution for the mind pollution.
Mind
Well,
pollution. That's so well said. That's really the
I,
crux of the whole thing.
I for one would definitely think that the technological interventions are inevitable. We are even just if we have to buy back time to save lives and save the ecosystems that support life. We have a raised hand here from Europe, Inger Mette. I'm sure you'd like to share the viewpoints from Europe and Scandinavia. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. You can hear me well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
perfectly.
Okay. Greetings to all of you, and nice to see you, Raj. Please excuse me for not being more loud and more celebrating of the first day of the International Day of Glacier yesterday, from Oslo, from Norway, from the high north of Europe. I work on different European youth projects and also international ones, but as in the Norwegian Climate Network, in the board, and we work with European projects and having different consortium. And as Raj know, I'm also the co-founder of the World Climate School, and to really understand the climate's dependence on the water cycle and how it is broken is one of my biggest concerns. And when it comes to everything down approach from the scientists or from the world leaders and how we can do awareness training, it looks like the awareness is there from ordinary citizens. But what can we do? That's the challenge. So what we see in the consortium we have is that we can work with the citizen engagement on water quality in local communities, how we really can train ourselves and the youth, the youth leadership coming on, with how to empower them and us, all of us, in the intergenerational activities in local communities, and still knowing that all these global challenges are there. And with my background now from the cotton industry, I'm just looking at some of the papers. I'm not sure if you can see it, but this is about white gold and the fashion and the cotton industry, which is also like kind of the connecting the water use into our clothing industry in all diverse ways, and in all production. There's something I'd like to put into our awareness, and that is the green revolution that you mentioned here in India. The green revolution has a different kind of understanding in farmers in India, because that was introduction of pesticides. But when it comes to the Green Deal in the European strategies for 2050, 2040, 2030, etc., the Green Deal, it doesn't take the blue ecosystem into a serious account. And I also think on the Water Day today, I think we have to address that the blue planet, that's where we have to come from. It's the ocean and the water that is really taking the heat waves, even more so. And that's why we see that the polar ice and are really melting. And that's a scary approach here in the Nordics, is that the heat waves in the Svalbard, on the North Pole, in the Arctic, is really heavy and strong. The weather is warmer up north than in Oslo. So, and how can we as human beings stop it, or intervene, or find technical solutions? That's a question, to really keep 1.5 or 2 degrees or 3 degrees or 4 degrees. I think it's not about degrees, it's about meter. If we can 1.5 to 2 meters, 3 meters, where people are coming together and can see each other in local community, that's where we can find solution, to have citizen engagement. And I'm here, and I celebrate with you from North Coast of Norway, and wishing a love for water and dignified understanding of the water circle, or all the waters. Well, I'm over to you again, and I'm here, and I'm sure I have more to say, but I'm just jumping in here that the greenwashing is there, but let's talk about the blue ecosystem in a strategic way. That's my wish. Thank you.
Thank you, Inger Mate. I am hoping we can work together on the Blue Ecosystem Alliance that we had created so beautifully in that during COP27, was it? Yeah, in Sharm el Sheikh. Yeah.
I'm ashamed.
Right. Yes.
So yesterday, we had a call. I had dedicated my call to my friends in Egypt, in the Karnak temples of the pharaohic time, and the Isis and the water prayers for the Nile. And then we had this or Nordic and the Aurora Polaris initiative from Svalbard. And then we also had the Chinese from the Himalayan side, from the Chinese, and they work with deep ecology from European Nordic perspectives. So the deep ecology, how we can welcome a new ecological civilizations together in understanding or the blue ecosystem. I really hope we can do it, Raj, and that we can work faster and better and stronger and with better finance for our work, because it's a labor of love for many of us.
Yeah, thank you. It always comes down to finance, to find the best solutions, to replicate the solutions, or even, test them. And then they are not always readily available where they're most needed. We do have some audience questions here. One from Jyotsiana to Mr. Reddy, I think, which is already answered. What are your thoughts on the growing crisis of groundwater depletion and long-term impact? And do you think current policies are enough to address the issue? But the other question is interesting, and I don't know if anybody is ready to take that. Is there any research on how AI and machine learning can help water management modeling? I don't know if Dr. Leslie would like to share her thoughts on this.
Well, I can't claim to be up on AI. But I do know that we depend a lot on climate modeling. So from the ground-based tests we do, then we work with some expert climate modelers who try to tell us whether there are any teleconnections that would be harmful or especially good, and try to help us figure out where a small scale intervention would do the most good. And so those, but as far as AI goes, yeah, I hope you've got another expert on the call.
See, AI, ML is really a need of the hour, Raj. As we want to have and optimize the water utility, first foremost important, what we required, we need to intervene the AI and ML. For example, to fix the water problem in India, first we need to fix the agriculture. See, as we said, we know that how much water we required, and we are using 3 times, 4 times more water. So with artificial intelligence and machine learning, we need to have some kind of sensors, how much water we can really require to use for the what kind of per crop this thing. That is number one. Number two, AI ML is going to have a prediction of this, like even disasters, floods, other things. Okay, so this is artificial intelligence is more important to predict in advance so that we can have a preparation for a mitigation purpose. That is number two. Number three, AI is really required to mapping the aquifers. For example, we are almost pumping water since last 2 to 3 decades from the ground, but we are not recharging. We need to map the aquifers so that how much water, what is the capacity of aquifer, and how can we really refill that aquifer with the proper treatment kind of this thing. So